Oh, Jesus. Oh, that's just nasty.
Just a couple of silly friends talking about serious stuff.
Hello! Welcome back to Not What I Was Expecting. Two friends react to Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Over there we have...
I'm Ed. How y'all doing today?
And over here we've got Enough. Today we're going to be checking out Season 2, Episode 5.
5.
Why is Josh's ex-girlfriend eating carbs?
A question we can all ask ourselves. I mean, mainly because they're delicious. Carbs are so good. So good.
And I know some people in the comments have kind of been waiting for a little bit for this episode. We've discussed it a smidgen. Yeah.
I have not looked at all because no spoilers.
Good idea. Do we have anything we want to talk about last episode before we jump in?
Well, we've said this before in the hopes, and then she's backslid, but Rebecca did sort of come to a realization that she needs to not be focused on the guys and needs to focus on herself. The entire point of the episode was about identity. Who am I? You know, Rebecca was asked multiple times, who are you? And she doesn't know. But instead of running back to Greg or Josh like she has in the past, Heather has scooped her up. And Heather, because as wonderful as Paula is, and I love Paula, she's more of a mother figure. So there's going to be a little bit of a, literally she's a mother. She has her own things. And she also has a lot of her own things going on. So she can't focus all her energy on Rebecca. Mm-hmm. So I love the fact that hopefully, I mean, what it seems the show is now going to explore somewhat the friendship between Rebecca and Heather, because, I mean, Heather, I love Heather. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how they explore that roomie dynamic, if they do indeed go that route. And I'm obviously, the show ended off with Valencia eating a carb. And I can't wait to see where that goes.
And carb. A carb. Paula had an abortion, and I was so happy that they showed her family being supportive. They never gave her crap about it. They understood why it was so important. They were there to support her. That's just I love it so much. It's hard to say how important that scene and plot was.
Yeah. But interestingly, though, Paula still didn't tell Rebecca what's going on with her. Yeah. She's still, that is an unhealthy one-sided friendship. And I don't blame Paula for choosing not to tell her, because honestly, if I was in that situation, I wouldn't trust Rebecca to be able to handle it.
Yeah,
So I'm also curious to see, we're now getting to see Rebecca explore friendships with Heather, maybe Valencia, women her own age, but her friendship with Paula, we're starting to see, it's always been toxic, but we're seeing a different kind of toxicity now that Paula's kind of getting her own life together in a really beautiful way, including making some very difficult decisions. We're seeing, just how one-sided that friendship is. Mm-hmm. I just want to say how much I love the scene where she's very nervous, but she gives a brilliant report, a brilliant brief to the council person or whatever it was, the zoning person.
Oh,
and the validation.
Yes. Acting note. Her breath work in that scene is so good.
Yes.
Seems really nervous. Just love it.
Yeah. And it was a little bit weird to see an episode with barely any Greg or Josh outside of her fantasy. Mm-hmm. Greg had a scene at the beginning, that beautiful song. Josh shows up midway through the episode for a minute, and then the only appearances are in her dreams, or in her what were the some of the puns that spirit. No, the spirit Greg, a spirit memories or something. Mm-hmm. And she said goodbye to Greg. To Greg's memory.
Yeah, and he got
And to
on
the
a
house.
went away.
Yeah. And she also said goodbye to the house, which had all of the tap that ass memories.
Mm-hmm.
That song was so fun.
So good.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's get into season 2, episode 5.
Why is Valencia eating carbs? Oh, sorry. Why is Josh's ex-girlfriend eating carbs? Because even though Josh seems like he's kind of out of the picture, all the episode titles are still in reference to him.
Yeah.
All right. But it's also, yeah, why is she eating carbs? Because most humans eat carbs. That for most humans, that's not a question. But with Valencia, it is, because that's her figure, her body, one that you only get by not eating carbs, I guess. I wouldn't know that personally. Was a huge part of her identity.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, this is much like last episode was very much Paula and Rebecca, and to a lesser degree, but still Heather having somewhat identity crises. I have a feeling we're about to get into Valencia having somewhat of an identity crisis because, again, like not eating carbs was kind of a part of her identity. So that's sort of what I get out of it.
Cool. I think it'll be fun to see where this goes.
Mm-hmm.
Just take a bunch of money and deduct it from my Josh fund. Damn it, I said Josh's name. I don't know why I agreed to this.
She's pretty suggestible.
Yeah, but Heather set up a strict boundary and is sticking to it.
Calling her in love.
Blam!
I forgot about that. And I don't like it.
Yeah, but if Valencia and I hate each other, then that means Josh wins.
Wins what? About this later because class is about to start, and I just.
She's in school. Yes. Paula!
And here's an extra juice box
Aww.
in case you get thirsty.
See, juice boxes!
My throat hurts. Are you gonna drink that extra juice
Take
box?
it.
Thanks.
I love as hard as she's trying to be like the supportive whatever, Paula's still the mom.
Yeah.
My daughter is also very self-involved. There are only 3. I want to talk about Pegasuses like all day.
3-year-olds should be self-involved.
That's my best friend.
Sorry. Wait, really? She just had that me vibe.
No. She's terrific.
No, she's not.
Also, that's not really his place
Yeah.
to be commenting on a friendship he's seen for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder about his motivations.
You know, I tell myself that she's fragile, but, I just had an abortion, damn it. It would have been nice to talk to my best friend about it.
Well, she tried to talk to you, Paula. You didn't open up.
Yes and no.
Rebecca made herself available emotionally, time-wise. She was there. She was serious.
But
She
all
was
it
ready
took was
to
the
spread.
slightest comment to sort of put it back, like for Rebecca to take it back on her. Like, again, like I said earlier, if I were Paula, I wouldn't trust Rebecca to handle it well. And like, it's sort of like if I could see a situation where Paula says, hey, I just had an abortion, and Rebecca sort of loses her mind a little bit and is like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I wasn't there for you. And she sort of freaks out and makes it about her. And then Paula has to comfort her for not being a supportive friend. You know what I mean? Like, we all know people who do that.
But Rebecca has had times when she has just been supportive to Paula, where she hasn't done that. And Paula did not give her the opportunity. She cannot blame her for not being supportive when she didn't allow her the opportunity to support her.
That's a really good point.
That's my only point here. It's not her
Yeah.
fault if you don't allow her that opportunity.
Okay, I guess you are correct, but I could also see why Paula would sort of feel like she couldn't open up to her.
Yeah.
And then feel like it's Rebecca's fault, even though, like you say, it's not, because you didn't give her a chance. But I can see where Paula's frustration is coming from. But you're right. She didn't give Rebecca a fair chance. You're right.
Very
Yeah.
strange. But like,
Well, I don't think it's strange. I think it's actually very normal, unfortunately, because we suck at communication. But
yeah.
I know what you mean. It's not what it needed to be.
But I do appreciate that not everyone feels safe to talk to. It's just in that situation, I wouldn't say they didn't support me. I just would say I didn't have support for something.
If she'd said something like, I didn't feel comfortable talking to my best friend, or even if she'd said I couldn't talk to my best friend, which might not have been accurate, but that's the way she would have felt. It's not the same as saying she didn't support me.
Yeah. She could say, I didn't feel like I could talk to my friend for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. That's my little pet peeve.
Legit.
My wife killed herself 9 months ago.
I'm sorry, what?
Whoa. That makes the abortion thing okay.
Look, I know how hard it is to be honest with people you love. I told them she went to a mom farm upstate where moms run around all day.
That's not good.
Hey, I'm Sunil.
No, it's not. But I like that introduction of Sunil.
Oh, wow. Look at this place. It's kind of a mess.
Oh, she just went right over to Valencia's.
Are you eating carbs? I am so proud of you, girl.
I know. I'm super.
Most people's wedding goal weight.
I always knew you were trying to steal Josh from me, just like Susie Reynolds always tried to steal my half-eaten Lunchables out of the trash.
Is Susie Reynolds okay?
She's fine. She's a state senator now.
Her face.
No. Valencia, I insist on connecting with you.
Ugh. I want to be left alone, and I'm fine.
No, you're not. You're not fine. You're sad like me.
He so desperately needs her to be not fine.
For you, it's a big old cry for help.
Okay, goodbye.
No, but I'm here to answer that call. Valencia, come on.
Like, she might be right that Valencia needs help, but it's not her place. And yeah, she might be right that Valencia needs help, but Valencia has told her to leave.
Yeah.
You know? And also, like, I like how Valencia is like, yeah, no, we're not the same. Like, I ended that relationship because it was toxic. And, you know, like, yeah, and yeah, I really liked how Valencia handled that. It was just, my home, my boundaries, you and I aren't the same, leave. I really liked her character in this scene because there was something about her that was just very different. I mean, first of all, I thought she looked really good with her hair, just sort of more casual, whatever, but personal choice aside, I don't know, there's just something, she seemed a little different.
She certainly adopts a personality when she gets all dressed up and like.
That's true.
She has a persona. And right now she's not acting that persona. She's just being. So something that I've noticed about Valencia throughout the first season was how focused she was on attaining a particular image of success. A particular cultural image of that. And everything that she did was very much with that in mind. And I think that part of what we are seeing now is, who is she without that? Who is she without that perfect husband of Josh and the life that they were going to have together that she had been imagining for her entire adult life? And she had been pushing herself so hard to be this persona that she thought needed to fit that role. Yeah, I'm really excited to see who Valencia is once she's not trying to be that person anymore. That's as close to my fan theory as I can get right now.
Okay. I like it. All right.
Whoa, what happened here?
I came in early to organize.
Yay! More Eugene Cordero.
I'm gonna untangle those bad boys next.
Bro, your shift doesn't start for another 6 hours.
Yeah. I also like to organize as a way to manage my emotions.
We're sorting Legos by color, shape, and number of bumpy things.
Yeah, that sounds like how I would do it. You should see my closet.
It's been a weird few weeks. My best friend moved away. White Josh has a serious boyfriend.
White Josh.
The dating advice podcast.
That's disturbing.
Ah, that's what. You're a girlfriend guy, I can tell. Yeah, serial monogamist. It's hard being alone.
Being alone is fine with me.
I don't think it is.
Yeah, I used to be somebody who who could not do anything without like music on and a TV show, and like I just could not be alone with my thoughts.
I'm not afraid of what enters my mind when I'm so low.
Therapy is helpful.
So each of them got to choose the type of song they wanted to sing, and he chose Bruno Mars.
I don't know if this is what he chose.
Okay.
I actually don't remember what he chose.
Because this is Bruno Mars. Like this feels like Bruno Mars, the style.
Yeah, very much.
I don't like that thought. No, no, no.
Intrusive thoughts.
No. Happens if I get sent to hell. Will it be like that time I tore my ACL?
Oh.
Thought bubbles in my mind, popping thought bubbles from time to time.
This is the best he's ever sounded. This is like a really good song for him.
Like what if I stop liking my mom? If it worked on guacamole, it could work on my mom. If I can't even hit the gym, how will I ever be a good father? These dark thoughts, dark like Edgar Allan Poe, 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 Poe.
Yeah.
I love the rhymes. All of the rhymes, the O rhymes were amazing. Bo, 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 bo.
Yeah, I like your point about calling out intrusive thoughts. Yes. What are some good strategies for dealing with intrusive thoughts? We can try to look at them from outside and examine them as being sort of separate from us. We don't have to identify with the thought that we're having. We can sit there and go, oh, that's a weird friggin' thought. I wonder why I thought that. Wonder where that comes from. We can examine it like a piece of evidence or a cool rock that we found on the beach. Like, and in meditation, one of the things that you try to do is not, get rid of all thoughts altogether, but to see your thoughts more like a stream that's going by and to just witness them. Yeah, you're like, oh, that's weird. I wonder, yeah, okay. Just let it go, let it pass by.
I guess the only thing I can think of that I do for intrusive thoughts is just something along the line of like, oh, I'm having intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay. They're there. They're annoying. But I know that they're not what I really think. Mm-hmm. And therefore they don't really matter. And it's not like I'm repressing them. It's they're there. I'm acknowledging them. Okay, intrusive thoughts. Sometimes, like you say, it's like, why am I thinking this? Okay, I'm dealing with this and this. Okay, I've also put in a lot of work personally on acknowledging, dealing with. When I'm struggling more, it's harder for me. But even when I'm at my lowest and I start having these intrusive thoughts, they never really take over because I can kind of be like, oh, I'm never going to do anything, or like, I'm a complete failure. It's like, you know what? No, you're not. You're just miserable right now. And that's okay. What it is because what do intrusive thoughts do? They make us feel bad. They make us feel like failures. They make us feel miserable. They make us feel like we're letting others down, ourselves down, like we're not what we should be, whatever. So when I sort of have them, it's like, okay, intrusive thoughts, stop being dicks. I get it. Okay, you've made your point. I sort of deal with intrusive thoughts the way I've sort of learned to cope and deal with bullies over the years. It's just like, you're just a giant dick. Like, yeah. Go away. Okay, yeah, I've heard what you said. Okay. Yeah, you've made me feel worse. Congratulations. I feel worse now. It'll pass. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I've solved it. I'm not going to sit here and act like, they don't affect me at all, because they do.
Yeah.
But
I think intrusive thoughts affect everyone.
Yeah.
But, normal part of human.
But they also, it's a matter of acknowledging them for what they are, which is intrusive thoughts. It's sort of your brain is bullying you in a way. And you deal with it, Yeah.
Yeah, and the positive self-talk is one of my favorite strategies also, like talking back against that, just And in my head, it feels very much like I am talking to another person. Not like I don't experience another person, but it's like there's a monster in my head saying these bad things, and I have the conscious ability to respond back, and stand up for myself and stand up for what I see as reality. The reality is not everything is doomed to be a disaster, and
Everything is awesome. Oh, maybe
right,
not,
like
but
I can line things up like a lawyer would present a case and say, look at this evidence. Look at this evidence. See these people who care? This person just showed up yesterday. Like, it takes work. It does, but it gets easier with practice. And until you are much more able to just be like, oh, look at that thought. Huh. Instead of letting it like completely consume you.
Yep.
General.
Oh man. Yes. I also just want to add on that scene. Josh sounded great. That song was very well suited to him. He sounded great. I really just enjoyed that song. The rhyme schemes were really good. I also like that the last couple episodes, the songs have just sort of stood for themselves more so than been extravagant numbers, which are good in their own way. But I also like the smaller, just sort of focus on the characters. Maybe it's a budget issue. I don't know, but I'm enjoying it. Also, I love Eugene Cordero, the actor who plays his boss. He does a lot of voice work, and I'm sort of a sucker for voice actors, which is one of the reasons I'm really excited about Heather Lowell, who plays not Heather. Sorry, Heather's the character.
She does a lot.
She does a lot of voice work, and she's Mermista and Shira, and that's awesome. I've mentioned that before, but yeah.
Because we get it, you and Daryl are in love.
Oh, we don't say that to each other. I haven't met his daughter yet. So.
Oh, why was White Joe kind of mean to Rebecca? Oh, then again, she did kind of come in and mess up his friend group.
I mean, she's kind of not been great to multiple of his friends.
Yeah.
And she has been really rude to him.
Yeah.
Multiple times. She's actually never been nice to him.
And he's the nicest guy on the planet.
Yeah. Well, personally, I think that White Josh has had a very easy life in many, many ways, especially around knowing who he is and what he wants for himself and being responsible. And as a result, I think that he doesn't have a ton of leeway for the other people in his life when they struggle with those things because they've been so easy for him. He doesn't understand why it's so hard for them. That's my one big White Josh criticism.
I haven't noticed that, but I'm gonna keep an eye out for that as in future White Joe scenes. Because to me, he always seemed pretty. Oh no, that's true. He sort of was. Yeah, no, you're right. There are a couple scenes, like in the bar scene. Like, yeah, he was very supportive of Greg not drinking, but he was a bit of a dick to Hector, and even like, well, then again, Hector's kind of an idiot. So like, but yeah. No, you make an interesting point. I'm gonna keep an eye out for that going forward.
I have somebody in my life, a family member who has a very similar personality along those lines, and the person is, very kind and does a lot to support people. But this is an area where they often struggle, and I don't know that they're aware enough to have put it in those words, but they will often say things like, yeah, I just don't deal with that, so it's hard for me to understand.
Oh, okay.
And they'll come off very judgy at first, but will really actually take the time to understand, if they want to. Like,
right.
Yeah.
It's like you have those like couple friends who've been in like one stable relationship since they were like 19 together, and then you try to talk to them about your dating life and they just can't understand it. Like, they're just, why is it hard for you to meet nice guys? Like, I met mine and we're still together 15 years later. It's like, good for you. Then you have nothing to offer me except maybe listening.
Yeah. Or people from other generations being like, why can't you buy a house? I don't get it.
Yeah, it's like because credit checks didn't exist when you bought a house in 1985. Like, yeah. Why don't go door to door, knock on doors, try to, get a job, shake a hand. Like, dude, they literally will throw your resume to the bottom of the pile if you do that. Times have changed. I know that concept is hard for you. Anyway. Oh no.
Hi.
Stop coming here.
I was on my way to Dairy Queen. Found myself in the neighborhood.
Why did she not slam the door in her face?
Good question.
You're not fat. Come on, Valencia. We could go get a blizzard. Maybe talk about Josh a little.
Stop talking about Josh. You want to find someone who will moan and cry and be sad about Josh.
She gets it.
I legitimately just was craving some chicken basket and a blizzard.
I will take the free food, but we can't talk about Josh, and it's only because I'm hungry. Postmates won't deliver to me anymore. I need to pee before we go 6 blocks.
Yes, that is the distance we will be traveling.
Oh no. She's lying to her. That's horrendous. And also, like,
Kidnapping?
Valencia's, yeah. Also, Valencia, like, I knew she wasn't doing well. It's obvious because of all the movie shorthand, carbs, stuck at home, PJs, etc. But the fact that, like, Postmates won't deliver, so she isn't even leaving her apartment to go shopping. She's not making any of her own meals. As someone who deals with depression, yeah, when I'm depressed, I don't cook for myself. Yeah. That's there are a few things that I sort of are like the first things to drop when I'm struggling. And yeah, personal hygiene and making food are two of the first things that I sort of stop taking care of when I get depressed. So she is depressed. Now, not necessarily clinically depressed, because I'm not diagnosing, not a professional. She's a fictional character. In the colloquial use of the term, she is depressed. Mm-hmm. Okay, she is in a depressive period in her life. And until that moment, the Postmates line, which obviously was just a cute joke for the show, but that shows like she isn't going out to get food. She is hungry and someone is taking her for free food, which also makes me wonder if she isn't working right now. Because like the jobs she had were like her yoga studio and stuff like that, which are jobs that require a lot of physical activity and taking care of yourself, which are not easy to do when you're depressed. So to me, like I knew she was struggling, but there was that scene sort of drove home to me how badly she's struggling. And Rebecca used that to trick her, taking advantage of someone who's depressed to try to force them to not be depressed and for your own means. Because the thing is, Rebecca doesn't actually, she never cared about Valencia until she had use for her. Like if I'm in a very depressive state and I have a very close friend who basically shows up at my door and says, put some pants on, slap on some deodorant, we're going to a pub and you're just going to be outside for 2 hours and then you can go home. That's forcing me, but they're doing it for me.
Right.
Rebecca is taking Valencia out for Rebecca.
Right.
She is taking advantage of a vulnerable person for her own purpose. And that is just abhorrent.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of it either.
But you're also not supposed to be. Like, that's the thing I like about this show. Like we've discussed before in a lot of other sitcoms, Rebecca would be the hero and, oh, she's getting her out and, oh, it's just a cute little thing. Oh, shenanigans will ensue. But like we're watching this, the show's like, nah, Rebecca's bad. Mm-hmm. And that's one of that's a recurring theme of this show. Like bad behavior is bad. It doesn't matter like how funny it is.
Or whether or not it's coming from our protagonist.
Yes, exactly.
So it's a regional Burning Man.
Yes.
Which I will always prefer to the real thing.
This is worse than that tent city Susie grew up in. Again, don't worry about her. She just passed a homeless reform bill.
Aw.
This is foul.
Okay, Valencia, you agreed to come here.
Only because you locked the door and talked for an hour. And plus, I really don't have anything else to do.
Oh, God, she is so depressed. I want to hug her.
Really looks like you've already lost some weight since we got here a couple minutes ago.
She does look, at least with the way, I don't know if it's like a suit or whether or not the actress actually put on weight, but she does look like she's put on some weight here.
I think that you get into very, very tricky situations when you start putting fake weight on people. Like the fat community hated The Whale, the movie that won the Oscar. And
yeah, I've heard about that.
Because it was a fat suit, and it is awful. I'm not going to go into why that is because that would take a while, but that was not okay. People are not happy with the fat suit, especially that it won an Oscar for that.
Yeah.
Was very appalling to people. So I don't know how I feel about them patting her. I don't know how necessary it was for the story. I think we could have just seen her behavior and understood.
That's true. Also, sometimes when people are depressed, they lose weight. Like, so it could very well be that, like, yeah, maybe she's eating carbs now, but she's not eating regularly. She's not taking care of herself. So she could be just as skinny, but you look at the way she's dressed, you look at the way she carries herself. And even if she's only put on 5 pounds, like in the show, like if she's put on 5 pounds, the type of weight that you or I would never notice on her, but she will, she could still talk about herself like that, even though we don't notice it, right? Because of self-image and stuff like that. You're right. They didn't need to actually put padding if that's what they did.
Yeah. Now that we're talking about this in more detail, I think that it would have been, I would have loved to have seen that story, to have seen that portrayed, because there just doesn't seem to be a reason to show it. And it could have been so much more powerful, especially because we are discussing disordered eating. That is what is happening here. She does not have a healthy relationship with food. When we talk about eating disorders, this is one of the ways that it can present. There were scenes from the first season where they talked about her eating habits. I remember Paula going through her Instagram or going through her photo reel and looking at all the pictures of food and going, oh, she just likes to look at food. So Valencia has not had a healthy relationship with food for quite a long time. And if we're talking about body dysmorphia at all, because she keeps calling herself fat, I think that could have been more powerfully portrayed by having her have the same body type, just repeatedly calling herself fat to get across the point she's not seeing herself the way everybody else does.
But no, I really like your point. Yeah, if they'd let her just sort of stay very, very thin like she was, that would have been, an ED. It would have been more of a sign. Here it just looks like, oh, she's depressed, so she's binge eating, so she's put on some weight.
Still disordered eating.
No, it is, but it's less obvious to most viewers.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you specifically address it, which I don't know what they're going to do yet, but I don't know. I'm curious to see what they do with it. Valencia is very depressed, dealing with it in an unhealthy way, and Rebecca is pretending to want to help her.
It's kind of disconcerting. Are you drinking water?
Okay, can you stop talking about my weight? I get it. I'm a ginormous 6, junior 5/7, so just shut up about it.
I have mentioned this in the comment section of our videos, but I have not mentioned it in any of prior actual videos, that I personally am currently undergoing treatment for an eating disorder. I was diagnosed last year after going through something pretty traumatic, and things have gotten a lot better. It's improved quite a bit. But I think that in the process, what I learned is that disordered eating often looks a lot different than we see in media. And we have an idea of what it looks like that's not always accurate. And I think it's a lot more common than we realize as a culture, at least in the
100%.
United States.
It's
And
also,
Mhm.
as a very quick aside, men have eating disorders, but the only eating disorders you ever see talked about are related to AFAB people. You never see it talked about with men because, well, patriarchy, because men aren't allowed to talk about it because, manly men don't have eating problems. We just eat.
right.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to sort of, yes,
I
please,
think that's a
please.
good point. And I do know somebody close to me who is a man who suffers from pretty serious disordered eating. I guess I would just say that I kind of wish, like anything, that I didn't wait as long as I did to seek help. Because I knew, just like with addiction, that there was something wrong before I sought help, and long before I sought help. And as a result, I ended up sicker. So I just want to encourage anyone who thinks they might be dealing with disordered eating to treat it like any other health condition and try to get into a doctor, see if you match the qualifications, and get treatment, because there are treatment options. Things can improve.
And you deserve it. You deserve to feel good.
Absolutely.
There's no shame in admitting you need help about anything.
None. In fact, that is an incredibly powerful thing to do. I usually admire people who ask for help. I think it's very courageous.
For anyone watching who needs a little push, whatever I can offer you in that regard through this video, you're loved, you're supported, you're valid, your struggles are real, and you deserve to get the help you need and to feel good, because we're all just doing the best we can, and a lot of us have been dealt some difficult hands, and yeah, just, you're wonderful, you're awesome, you're valid, and I hope you are able to find ways to feel good and be happy and that are healthy. Yeah.
And I want to reinforce, carbs, no carbs, whatever it is, whatever food you can eat, it's great. Please don't be ashamed that whatever you're putting in you isn't the healthiest possible option or whatever. If you can get it in, it's good. And I'm proud of you and happy for you.
Yes.
Ice cream sandwich, whatever.
And for anyone who needs a reminder, because as someone with ADHD, sometimes you can forget, go have some water, go have something to drink. If you're feeling a little hungry, or even if you're not feeling hungry, but you haven't eaten in a while, try to, have something that'll bring you some joy.
Yeah.
Eat something you enjoy.
Look outside.
Yeah.
The window.
Take a little stretch. Maybe.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Okay.
Your trauma you and I are going to bond over are those communal porta potties.
Oh, God. I've heard Burning Man described as a tour of the porta potties, and I don't necessarily disagree.
Yeah.
I am so happy you're here. I was worried that I would be the only person that knows who Marlo Thomas is.
Daryl constantly reminding Why Joe how much older he is cannot be good for their relationship. We've seen it before a little bit, but I understand wanting to be with someone your own age, and I get it, but when your younger boyfriend is right there and you're sort of lamenting that you feel out of place at something he loves.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying. And I'm sort of thinking about it from having been in the place of Waijo in the past. For example, I have dated people of color, and I have brought them into spaces that were more lighter skinned, and have seen them be very uncomfortable and then feel more relieved when another person of color comes in and they have somebody they feel like they can more relate to, and they're not quite so outnumbered. Okay. And I think that was what was happening for Daryl, where he was like, oh, thank God I'm not the only one here, because he was like feeling
And it's not
fully
like
out.
why Joe wasn't feeling uncomfortable, didn't look like he was feeling uncomfortable at that comment. He was just like, yeah, I mean, that's the way it is. Okay.
Yeah. So, and like,
Um,
and for me as the partner in those moments, I didn't, if anything, I was concerned that my partner would not feel welcome or would feel out of place. And so I would feel happy if there were other people that made them feel more comfortable.
yeah. Okay.
And probably try to avoid that situation as much as possible.
Yeah. Also, just unrelated, the actor who plays Sunil, I forget his name. He voices Zulius in Centaur World, which if you haven't seen Centaur World, I strongly recommend it because it is a cartoon musical with beautiful music and it's hilarious and wonderful and it's incredible. It's only 2 seasons, 18 episodes on Netflix.
Cool.
Anyway.
What taking up is that?
Nanya. Nanya. Great.
I said, none your business, bitch.
Oh, he's gonna be a great lawyer.
But like, what is Josh looking for? Actually, I think he might be on the spectrum. So
Oh.
Okay, one more thing. I actually think he has narcissistic personality disorder.
What the frick?
Someone doesn't like me, therefore there must be a literally diagnosable problem with them.
Also, narcissistic personality disorder and autism spectrum disorder? Like,
yeah.
Well, they're not that close. What are you talking about? She's just, I think it's just trying to show us like how far.
Oh, absolutely. It is showing
topic.
Rebecca, but that's why it is showing Rebecca being like, wow, he doesn't like you, so there must be something deeply wrong with him because he didn't want to get with us too. And like, look, you see this a lot online, more often from men talking about like, oh, why would that man leave that beautiful woman? Like, oh, why, how is that beautiful woman single if she's trying to find someone? It's because A, like people have standards. B, someone might be a wonderful person, beautiful, smart, interesting, kind, etc., and just not right for you because you don't click. And you like people, especially like when they see like celebrities, like she's so hot, why would she leave? Because there's more in life than hotness, and also like she might be hot and wonderful, but they want different things. They're different people. They're not compatible. Like compatibility comes in so many ways. It is so upsetting, but clearly portrayed here as Jesus, Rebecca, what is wrong with you? Like, stop. Also, I love this still image we have of here, like Valencia just looking to the gods, like, what have you saddled me with this horrible person, God?
This woman is inviting negative thoughts.
Be still, child.
Sherpa Allen.
When who was dating?
Oh, me and Carl.
What? you guys...
Oh, insecurities.
We met 15 minutes ago, and no one said anything?
Yeah, that might have been something I brought up right away.
Yeah.
Just to fill in, so everyone has context.
Men in the gay community there's a lot more casual dating and sex in the gay community from what I've read and been told and heard from people in those communities. So for them, like it could sort of cross my mind that Josh and Carl wouldn't even think about it, since like, yeah, that, anyone who shows up at these big communities, there's a decent chance that they've dated or slept together or been intimate in some way. So it's not that they should have told, it's just that they wouldn't think about it because it doesn't matter in that community, in their community. In like the West Coast white gay community, it's just like, yeah, we dated briefly, like who cares? Like it also like one of my closest friends, like as a straight person, one of my closest friends, she and I briefly dated, we hooked up a few times, but it's several years later and no one gives a shit because we're just close friends. It's not like, oh, hey, this is my girlfriend. Oh, hey, this is my very close friend. We used to date. Like, who cares? It's not relevant.
Well, it could be though. It's something people usually want to prepare for. It's not that they think it's bad or that they would choose to avoid the situation necessarily. It's just that they want to be emotionally prepared for the situation that they're entering. They want to understand the context that they're in, because if they don't, then they don't have informed consent.
Okay.
That's how I see it. That said, I do think that there can be cultural differences. I think in general, there is more loose acceptance, or there is more acceptance of looser sexuality and relationship bonds in the gay community. But that's not true for everyone in every relationship. And I think it's certainly not the case with their relationship right now with White Josh and Daryl.
Yeah, but what it's, I'm not saying they weren't right to not say anything. I'm saying I can understand why they wouldn't necessarily even think to, especially like they did it a few years ago and it was brief, and they've been most of their, what it sort of comes down to is if the majority of their relationship has been purely platonic and it was briefly romantic, like he might not even think of it as like, oh yeah, we used to date like you might not even think about it. Like I have some people in my life who I'm very close friends with that it's like, oh yeah, we dated for like 3 weeks 5 years ago. Okay, like I don't even think about it because that's not my relationship with them and hasn't been that for ages.
Yeah.
So for me, that's more how I see it. So that's why I see like,
yeah, I think that's probably where White Josh was coming from. That seems like where his character was in it. And I think Daryl was a little bit more along the lines of where Heather was last season when Greg invited her on the party bus without telling her what was going on. She was like, yeah, but I wouldn't invite you to a party with Zeke. And he's like, who's Zeke? And she goes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I love that.
And so
That
like
great.
you just and so it was kind of bringing me back to that. Like it sort of felt like a different.
The big difference is they sort of just ran into each other. Then again,
right?
Why Joe seeing that Daryl and the other guy there were connecting and therefore we're going to hang out a bit. Yeah, at that point it may be like, it's not like, oh, you just met in passing. No, you guys are going to be hanging out because he was the only guy his age. So it's like, okay, like, hey, just so you know, we used to date. It was a while ago. We're just friends now. Like you said, informed consent. Because some people might just not be comfortable. Like, even though Daryl wouldn't have a right to get mad at the fact that he's there, but he might not want to hang out with Josh's ex. And that's where the informed consent comes in.
Right. Or he might change the way that he talks about things. Like, he might have been with somebody who didn't have a prior relationship. He might have been much more open about sex or their relationship or something, but might want to be more considerate about how that might impact somebody who had previously dated him. Things like that. There are all sorts of small changes you might want to make depending on the situation.
Informed consent.
Grab your water bottle and some body glitter, my friend. You're heading to Electric Mesa.
Uh-oh.
Every so often, the show is like, hey guys, we're a sitcom. Shenanigans about to ensue.
That jerk is out there with his fancy spaceship notes. We need that spaceship. We deserve that spaceship.
I like this guy.
What do you have in the way of caper clothes?
I have lycra for small spaces. I have camo. I have a zip up hoodie. What do you need? But this is skulking for me.
Yeah.
Skulk, 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 skulk.
Yeah, there are certain words that are fun to say. I love that she made a grown-up friend in her class.
I want to leave, and I'm just going to take your car, so you can find a ride. I need your keys.
You have to come get them. They're in my underpants.
Oh, my God.
I love how sad this festival is.
Yeah.
Hello, my ladies. Welcome to IT.
Verily, I would like to sample some of your earthy water.
That hurt my soul.
Yeah.
To the queen.
Okay.
Those are definitely drugs. Right?
No, they're thing.
IT.
Oh, two
In the show, yes. In reality, that would never happen at a festival.
Yeah.
People are not that loose with their drugs.
Yeah.
You'd
Drugs
have
are
to
expensive.
ask for it. explicitly. Can I have the mushroom drink, please? The one with the psychedelics?
Yeah.
And at Burning Man, they've got lots of feds there. They are trying to bust you. So you have to be very careful about how you imbibe. There was this hilarious, when I went from a little ways down the road, I heard somebody shouting and I turned around and two people were like, hey, this person's looking for drugs. Anyone have any drugs? Pointing out the person, making it really obvious that that person was a fed pretending to look for drugs.
Yeah. I'm just amazed sometimes at the guys that get to go undercover. They're so bad at it and so obviously cops. To the point that's like, you have millions of dollars of the city budget and you couldn't spring for 2 weeks of acting classes for your undercover people. Like, I mean, first of all, fuck you, narcs. But like, seriously, like a couple weeks of acting lessons, you know, a little bit of better clothes that don't show off that they're built like cops.
Like the Steve Buscemi, hello, fellow kids.
Yeah. Also, that woman with that top is so hot. Oh my God.
Did we just drink drugs? Oh no.
Well, you're gonna be there for quite a while now. Buckle up. It also would take a little bit longer kick in, probably.
Yeah, smoke, it kicks in like almost right away, but I think drinking or spray or other things take longer. Food takes much longer. Because it has to go through your stomach, through the stomach acid and everything.
I think about 45 minutes.
Holy cow. Josh looks good in tights.
Yeah, he does.
Like, those legs, damn. Like, ugh.
That man is a dancer. I like it.
Yup.
Whee! I'm a pretty ballet dancer. What a great drug trip.
Okay, this is amazing.
Rawr, I'm
Wow.
a Triceratops.
Oh, wow.
It's so deaf to Smoochie.
Oh my God, I haven't seen that movie in years. I haven't
that
thought about that movie in years. It was amazing. It's amazing. Oh, Jesus. Oh, that's just nasty.
Oh my God. I am so sad.
I want to kill him.
And the drug is just worn off immediately.
At the same time, too.
You a little bit jealous, Bob? I wasn't even that into it.
Oh, now he's being condescending and dismissive.
Yeah, I'm just realizing how much Josh has taken advantage of me time after time.
Bullshit.
Let him.
I do not share her perspective. I don't believe she necessarily took advantage of Josh. I think the two of them were just dumb and immature and selfish, both of them. But for her to accuse Josh of taking advantage of her, she's the one who said, come stay at my apartment. She's the one who practically forced him to sleep in her apartment and in her bed. She's the one who made the drawer. She's the one who did all that for him. Like, he didn't ask for it. Like, he took it, and I'm not absolving him of guilt here, but for her to just be angry at Josh for taking advantage, it's not taking responsibility for her part of it.
Right. Agreed.
You know, Valencia, on the other hand, we'll see what she's about to say, but she has a lot more reason to be angry at Josh. IMHO.
Josh hurt me so much. I broke up with him, but the truth is, he left me emotionally long before.
It's true, he did.
I am so scared to be alone.
She's never really been alone before.
No.
I never want to see him again.
Hey, bro.
Oh, no.
What's up, Jerry?
How's it going, man?
Oh, hi, Jerry.
You know him?
No, but you seem to.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Frank.
Oh, my God.
What?
Tell me I didn't just say hi to 5 of your exes.
No, gross. 4. I would never date Paul.
Only 2 of them?
I don't have a fetish. I maybe have a little bit of a type.
Thought you liked me for me. But you don't.
Take off your pants.
Hello. I ain't that kind of party.
Yeah, look.
I don't know why, but the way she said that was funny.
Let's pee on his stuff. Because he marked us as his territory, and now we're gonna mark him back.
No.
Wow. You really were keeping your keys in your underwear.
Yes, in my underwear. That's where they were. Yes. Yes.
Oh no. Ew. Oh God. Oh God. Oh God, Rebecca. You're not healthy. Yay, they're skulking clothes.
Oh, God, of course. All right.
Oh.
Look at you.
Yeah. I was a computer programming major until sophomore year of college when I saw Pippin at the student union.
I saw Pippin on Broadway. Oh my God, best Broadway show I've ever seen.
Interesting. I saw Pippin at a local university and didn't want to see it again.
Rebecca? Valencia? What are you doing here? Why are your keys on the floor? What's that smell? Did you pee on the equipment?
Yeah. We did.
Yeah, we did it to mark our independence from you.
Whoa, that's confusing.
Yeah, I'm with Josh here.
I know things didn't work out, but it was complicated with you guys, with both of you.
Ugh.
Was it complicated? Oh no. Oh, was it complicated?
I don't like how they're trying to like equate what he did to Valencia and Rebecca as though they're remotely equivalent.
No, one person's bad behavior does not make it okay to continue bad behavior.
It's a super smart dynamo with the feminist bikini area.
Feminist bikini area.
Because you're small but fierce. I've always been afraid to be fierce like that.
This is the reason there's a pay gap. So what happens is women go into a job.
I like how she's kind of teaching her basic feminism.
Look at this outfit I bartered for. I mean, I owe someone 8 private yoga sessions and a topless massage, but I feel a lot better.
That is worth 8 yoga sessions and a topless massage is worth a lot more than that outfit.
Maybe it's made of silk.
Burning Man equivalent.
Also, the chance that that person's going to remember that 8 yoga sessions.
That's true. Also, she could have given a fake name and.
Too. Okay, well, they're doing yoga up on the meadow, and I'm gonna go see whose postures need adjustment. Saw some tragic warrior twos.
Well, it seems like she's back to wanting to do yoga anyway, so
yeah.
I would bet her it's a negative thing for her.
It turns out Josh is really into old guys. Yeah, it's practically a fetish.
Okay, well, let's not knock someone for a fetish. I mean, you know, some people like being choked by red licorice. I'm not saying who, but I think you know it's me.
I think you know it's me.
I mean, I just feel so dumb. I thought it was special.
Daryl, of course you're special. I mean, he's in the office every day. Just sometimes all it takes for 2 people to connect is for one person to reach out and try really hard, like to the point of kidnapping.
I hope she doesn't sort of take that lesson, because no.
Yeah, she could have built a relationship with Valencia in a wide variety of other ways. It really was not necessary for them to connect through kidnapping.
Yeah. Although it's not like Valencia is the healthiest person ever either, so like.
I just felt so ordinary and old. But, you know, these are my own insecurities. I don't.
You think you're the only one with insecurities?
Come on. When I see your abs, I definitely.
I've been starting to think that, I don't know, I'm just some boy toy to you. Like you're having a midlife crisis and I'm just your fetish. Come on, why haven't I met Madison yet?
I am so sorry. I just didn't want to freak you out.
I want something serious, D.
He wants the serious D. Sorry.
You.
Oh.
I love you too.
Yay! Aww.
Two people who care about each other greatly were struggling a bit because they weren't clearly communicating. They had a little bit of an issue. Then they communicated. And it's not like all their problems are solved, but they've come past a specific hurdle that they were dealing with because they communicated.
Yeah.
Also, seeing an on-screen gay kiss
Always
that
good.
is treated like no big deal, except that it's important for the plot and the characters, is always wonderful to see because it's still treated as so taboo, and that's bullshit.
Yeah.
But they communicated, and Daryl was wrong because he was sort of making a decision for Josh as, oh, I didn't want to spook you. And so instead of saying, hey, would you like to meet Madison? Are you ready to meet Madison? He just decided.
Right.
And that's not okay. But they communicated. They communicated. And that's, if Rebecca would just communicate, so many of her problems would be solved. So it's so nice to see someone in the show who communicates.
Like, I really needed a reminder of why I'm so happy being single. I mean, love them, but they are complicated and just hard to understand.
No, they're not.
I've been celibate since 1987. Yep. I orgasm internally as a part of my practice.
I am going to take a break from the ladies. A good long.
Also, your equipment smells delicious.
Go wash your hands a lot. No, don't put it on your shirt. So much for taking a break from the ladies.
Thank you.
I work out.
What?
God. She's just as dumb as he is. They're perfect for each other. Yeah, I absolutely saw that coming. Like, I absolutely saw that coming. Like, you know, I'm going to take a break from ladies. Yeah, that is going to last one episode. Nope, not even 10 seconds. Yes?
I just got her a snail.
Because he wants to take it slow.
Oh, she has snails as pets. Daryl's daughter.
Oh, right.
I'm just noticing he's holding.
It is very cute. Do you need a minute?
No, I'm good.
Oh, God, I forgot how young she is. For some reason, I thought she was a bit older.
I heard that you like snails.
I'm more into Pegasuses now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's take this back and
Yes.
get you a Pegasus then.
No. Let's get a Pegasus in addition to this one.
She's a gift grifter.
I like your boyfriend, Daddy. He ain't cheap.
Aww.
My heart.
Good now.
Yeah, we like totally bonded. Hi. Hey.
Hey, bitch, I heard you peed on some stuff.
Yeah. Oh, guys, we're all bitches.
She has girlfriends.
Oh yeah, Roxanne Gay wrote an op-ed on that word. I just read it.
Wow. Wait, that's so hot.
Mars, man.
Well, forgive your honor.
I know.
Forget.
Oh, she's jealous now of Paula, that Paula has a friend.
It's kind of embarrassing, but you know, you two are wearing the same bracelet.
Oh, no. No, she's jealous of Paula.
Oh, okay. Oh, fun. Yeah, so adorable.
Why can she never just...
I think it's more about them feeling disconnected from each other.
So it's not about the jealousy, it's about the disconnection. That's a really, I think you're right. That's a really good point.
You don't have to be alone with your thoughts. Call me.
He doesn't even know anything about this girl, but she's still in his mind intrusive thoughts like, hey, I'm a cute girl, you know?
Yeah, I think that it's really interesting in this episode that we see a similar issue from three perspectives. So like Josh and Rebecca keep going after different people and have trouble staying alone. Whether it's Greg or the taco guy or whoever, like they're having trouble not being with other people. And Valencia is also coming out of this really long relationship and also like those two talking about taking some time for herself. But we actually see her do that. We actually see her prioritizing herself. I feel like.
In a way that Josh and Rebecca aren't.
Right.
Another thing, speaking of friendships and everything, is Valencia struggles to have female friends because she always feels competitive because of, you know, all the internalized misogyny and everything else. But here she's developing female friends because for her, that is what she needs. She needs a non-toxic friend group that will be supportive.
It's like when I see them at that table together, like I can breathe for one of the first times in this whole series. Like
I can breathe for the first time, so moving on. Yeah. All right, I'm done. Sorry.
And it's just as someone who really struggled to make friends with women throughout my life for a lot of reasons, having it be so incredibly beneficial and powerful for my life to finally develop those relationships and cultivate them, and to see these characters getting to that point in their lives and getting over the cultural issues that forced them to hate each other at first and all their hangups, it just makes me so damn happy.
One of the things that I think is interesting is, oh no, I loved it, absolutely. But one of the things I think is interesting is for Valencia, it's a good thing because for her, making friends with women is a way to kind of be like, you know what, I don't need Josh anymore. I don't need anyone. These are my friends and my life. But from Rebecca's perspective, exactly like what you were talking about, Valencia is just the next person she needs to be close to and needs, you know, to like her. She went from Josh to Greg to Josh to Greg to whatever order. And then Valencia, because the whole premise of this episode was she needs Valencia to validate her.
Sure, but I guess I kind of felt like they were moving past that to be more into a friendship.
Yes, I don't trust Rebecca.
Well, that's fair.
I haven't seen anything further than this. As I said, I don't trust Rebecca, but I do. But from Valencia's perspective, yeah, these are my new friends. Friends are healthy, and I'm getting my life back on track in a way that makes me happy. Whereas Rebecca, in general, I just don't see that she's really had much growth. Like, again, she pissed on some cables.
Yeah, I agree. There does not appear to be a ton of growth, but I do think that stable friendships could be very beneficial for her.
But I don't trust her to be able to have a stable friendship, especially one that started off with kidnapping after screwing the ex.
Yeah.
You know, this relationship did not have a healthy beginning. And I put a lot of that on Rebecca. Whereas Valencia needed to do some work on herself to be more able to have female friends and to be a more kind person. And she has, it feels like.
She's getting there.
She seems like she is doing the work. Rebecca is not. At least from my perspective.
Yeah, I think that seems pretty accurate to me.
Women are afraid of being bitches, and so when they apply for a job, they just think, "Oh, please give me the job." Great. They don't apply. The job applies for them. This is why. Oh yeah, I'll show you again.
Weird episode.
Yes, with some things I liked, some things I don't like, and one thing that I hate that I identify with that I'm actually going to speak to my new therapist about. The concepts of feminism that they were, and speaking of as this as a cishet man who has worked very hard to, be better and be a good ally and all that, but my perspective is still one of a cishet man. But I feel like Rebecca's idea of feminism is very much a sort of, I don't know what the right word is, but a little virtue signally feminism, in that, or like sort of look at our vaginas empower us, but like doesn't actually address the sort of buzzword feminism, if that makes sense. Shallow, yeah. It felt very shallow, like let's piss on his stuff as though that's some feminist statement and that was empowering.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, right. Getting over Josh, addressing him like Valencia, who called him out, and in my opinion, Valencia calling him out was much more powerful than Rebecca because she has much more reason to be upset.
Yeah.
Standing up for herself, getting her groove back, getting back to the person that makes her happy and the things that make her happy, that is empowering. That is great.
Yeah.
But Rebecca's version of feminism, yeah, I like the word you used, shallow.
Right, because even though she says that she's moving on from men, she's still playing into every sexist stereotype and image of who she's supposed to be.
The crazy ex-girlfriend, you might say?
Yeah. She's still playing into those tropes. She still believes them. She still wants to believe in them.
There's a reason she's still paying out $5 every time she mentions Josh. She can't move past him. Valencia seems to already be getting to a healthier spot with that. Seems. Again, I don't know what future episodes are going to bring, but yeah, and like, yeah, it's a lot. She's constantly using buzzwords and like, oh, have you read this op-ed? Have you read this piece? And I'm like, yes, it's important to read up on it, but it's so much more than that.
But how does the pay gap of some hypothetical person asking for a raise apply to yours and Valencia's day-to-day life? How is this applicable? What's happening here?
Yeah. It's like people who use buzzwords and therapy speech and other things like that to kind of make themselves feel important while not actually addressing the issues that need to be addressed. Yeah, and so and the thing is, I feel like the show didn't usually when we see things that are sort of like unhealthy and not great, it feels like the show calls them out for what they are. I didn't necessarily feel that with this. I didn't feel like the show was calling out her ideals for being sort of the shallow that they were.
I don't know. I kind of felt like it was making fun of it, especially at the end with with Valencia responding the way that she was.
Yeah, that felt more like a blooper though. That felt to me like a blooper or like a silly deleted scene that they sort of cut out.
I feel like Rebecca was supposed to seem over the top and like she wasn't really believing a lot of what she was saying because her actions were not like matching that. She's kidnapping a woman. It's not the most feminist thing to do, right? Like, but I do think that we get to see a real form of feminism through Valencia's story in this episode, and I think that that is touching in a way, even if it does get funny and comedic at times.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it is still a comedy. Shenanigans have to ensue, but yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I really liked the Why Joe Daryl sort of B story.
Mm-hmm.
If this were a show about Why Joe and Daryl, there would be more time dedicated to it because they kind of got over it pretty quick. But I'm okay with that because they are secondary characters. And sometimes you do get over things quickly. Sometimes you sort of, something happens, it upsets you, you stew with it for a little bit, and then you talk it through because these are two kind, healthy adults who care about each other. You know, they have their insecurities, they have their issues, but they're good people who care about each other and want what's best for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of nice to see with all of the unhealthy Rebecca stuff, it's nice to see sort of like, how would Rebecca have handled that if she felt like she was a fetish to someone else? She would not have gone to her partner and talked to her partner about it.
No, she probably would have started seeing them as being terrible and tried to retaliate.
Or tried to make herself even more fitting into what she thought was that. Like if she thought, well, literally exactly what she did. Remember that in like season 1, she wears the same gold dress and tries to basically be Valencia. She literally is like, oh, Josh has a type. I'm going to be that type even more. Whereas here it's like, no, like, yeah, sure, I have a type, but that's not why I like you. Let's talk. God, I love seeing healthy communication in TV and media. So much.
Same. We got it really well, or we got it with Paula and her husband in the last episode. We're getting it with White, Josh, and Daryl this episode. I like that there are examples of how poor communication and then examples of good communication.
Hello.
It's adorable.
Hello, it's nice to meet you.
I guess that is it for season 2, episode 5. Join us next week as we embark on episode 6. And please like, comment, and subscribe. Have a lovely rest of your week.
Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great week. And remember, take care of yourself. You deserve it.
Good night.